Hey everyone, Dr. Tom Miller here, and I wanted to share with you the incredible experience that I had at the Maxwell Leadership Conference in Orlando. And so this is the 14th Maxwell Leadership Conference, the International Maxwell Conference that I've actually personally participated in since I joined the team in February of 2014. And you may ask, well, why would you go back 14 times? Well, it's to recertify, right? Every single year, there's new thought leaders. There's a new John Maxwell in a sense, because he's growing, because he's constantly learning, and he's sharing, and then he introduces us to these amazing experts in the leadership field, based upon whatever challenges that we all might be facing as global leaders. And so when I joined, there was a little less than 5,000 members of the John Maxwell team, is what it was called. Now it's the Maxwell Leadership Team, but now there's over 45,000 members, and in over 100 countries. I mean, it's just an amazing like-minded group of leaders to be a part of. So they have a conference every March and every August, and I would love for you to come. If you want to come, go ahead and email me at tom@lbleaders.com. It's tom@lbleaders.com, and I'll put a link here in the comments for you to schedule time, because I can tell you it has transformed my life times 1,000 since that time. But so when you recertify, right, when every single year when you participate in an environment of growth, it changes your perspective on how you're leading, right? How you're leading yourself, how you're leading your team, how you're leading the people around you. But it's also changing your priorities, right? How you're prioritizing as a leader. And I could tell you, over the last 2 years, I've been the interim head of 6 charter schools while continuing to run my business, while being a dad of 2, and a husband, and trying to maintain my health, right? Do all those things. And I can tell you that the more that I learn and the more that I grow, the easier it is for me to prioritize my time, right? And I'm going to talk a little bit about that, right? But what I wanted to really share with you is how John Maxwell, right? How he grows, right? How at 75 years old, after 50 years as a thought leader, first in the sector of being a pastor and a leader in that area, to moving to the private business world. He's written over 86, I think it's 86 books now. 87's coming out in March. He's sold 36 million copies of his books. How he continues to grow, right? I want to share with you exactly what he does, right? So, and this is what I've put into my life. There's this incredible importance of growth. So no matter where you are as a leader, and you're all leaders, no matter what field you're in, growth is critical. And it's not just occurring because you're working, okay? You don't just grow because every day you get up and you go to work and you handle challenges. I mean, you will get a little bit better, but that's not intentional growth. See, activity is not necessarily an accomplishment, right? And activity is not going to necessarily lead to growth. And so years ago, when I was a first year, in my principalship, and I would consume books. When I was going through my master's and my doctoral program, I owned a lot of books, and I read some of them. Maybe you know what that feels like, right? I had a big library. Let's just say that. I had a lot of library books, right? I feel like Will Ferrell and Anchorman, Ron Burgundy said, I had a leather-bound books, right? Because I thought it was a big deal, right? Get books and consume them, and do you have that book, right? That was kind of my thing. And it wasn't until I joined the John Maxwell team in 2014 that I actually understand the true purpose of books, right? The true purpose of reading someone's book is because you're not going to be able to spend time with them. And that's what John said. He said, I started writing books to reach the individuals that I would never meet. He had a goal, right, to impact leaders across the world. He's like, well, I'm not going to meet everybody. So, so the purpose of the book, right, was to not just consume and read the book. Oh, the book was really good. Oh, the book was so good. It's to apply what the author is telling you to do based upon their own experiences or their research, right? It's to apply what you're learning. It's to make significant changes in you so you can be better. I mean, whatever the book is teaching you how to do, right? I've owned books to learn how to swim. I've owned and read books to help, cure my back pain. I've read dietary books, right? I've read books on, I've read faith books. I've read, books on being a better dad and a better husband and leader. I mean, so there's all sorts of books. There's no shortage of books on learn how to do something, right? See, but knowledge is only potential power. It's about applying what you've learned, right? So this being active and being busy is killing a lot of leaders' self-growth. And so what John talked about during this growth day, we had this personal growth day, and they'll have one in March. And again, I would love for you to be a part of it. So reach out, and I would love to help you take that next step. He had said about 50% of your professional development, personal and professional development, needs to be focused on you. You need to be growing yourself so you can be better for the people around you. And what the mistake we make is we spend most of the time trying to develop all the people at the bottom of our organization when we need to be growing us. Grow us, and then the top 20%. That should be 75% of your growth plan. Is that? So then they can ultimately multiply and cascade information down and grow the people and equip the people under them. So as I was just consuming books, that's all I was doing was reading the books. I wasn't taking the time to stop at the end of the chapter and make notes, right, or answer the questions. A lot of great self-leadership books have, reflective questions at the end of every chapter. And John's is what's your act? What will you apply based upon what you just learned? What will you change based upon what you just read? What will you teach someone else? Right? And I'll talk more about that too. So I would consume books, right? And so then I started this, process of I would read the book and I'd make marks in it, right? And then I would go back and I would reread the book a second time, but I would only read what I marked. This is what John taught me. I'd reread what I marked, and then I would write out, right, what I'm going to teach, right, or what I need to do, or whatever my action step was, and I would maybe write that on a separate sheet of paper or within my journal. And this is how I was taking a log, right? I was taking that really important 20% of what's in the book, right, and I was going to take it and then move it to my own personal action plan. And then at the end of every day, right, I ask these three particular questions. What did I learn today? What did I fail at today? And what will I do differently tomorrow? Right? What did I learn today? What did I fail at today? What would I do differently, right? So again, it's not experience that's the key. It's a evaluative experience, right? So I've got the book. I'm learning how to do something through the book. I'm applying it in my life. I'm making changes in my life. I'm teaching other people about, right? And then I'm reflecting every single day. What did I learn today? Right? What did I fail at today? What did I, and what do I need to do differently tomorrow? That's a daily reflection sheet. At the end of every week, then, I do the next step is I said, what went well this week? What went wrong this week? And what am I going to do differently next week, right? So I've got daily reflection and I've got weekly reflection. And I do the same thing per month and per quarter, looking at those pieces. So in order to do this, you have to have a daily growth plan. Now, I've talked about, part of it, right, which is reading books. But there's lots of other things you can do to learn, right? Every day I learn. So every day I either read, right? Every day I may reread, one of my highlighted books. Every day I listen to something, right? So whether it's during my commute or a walk, there's about half dozen podcasts that I really love. Maxwell's podcast is really great, and Pat Lencioni's, and then I've got some other thought leaders that I listen to that are close to me. But those are two, right? So whatever field you're in, every day you got to be learning something. You need to bring better information into your mind, right? Because in order to really grow, you need to change how you think. I'm going to say that again. In order to truly grow, you need to change how it is that you think. Right? How you think, right? Because what you think about, you become. What you think about, you become. All right? So every day I'm learning, right, through listening, reading, maybe some articles, maybe a blog, maybe I'm listening to a YouTube video, okay? So every day I'm learning something, but I'm also learning by asking people questions. Okay, so when I'm in my work, when I'm either, the interim head of a school, I'm super curious. I drive people crazy. I want to know why they're making the choices they are or how they got to this point. And because it's important that you understand that an individual's success or an organization's, success is the result of their best thinking. Now, as a thought leader, as you grow yourself and you have more experiences, you could offend people. I've offended lots of people by asking a lot of questions or shooting on people, right? So don't shoot on people. Oh, you should do this, or you should read this book, right? No, don't do that. Ask questions, learn, right? Gain their permission to provide advice, right? Or to change, right? So if you listen to some of our other, lessons, one on, communicating expectations and changes, there's some really good lessons there. But so every day I'm reading or I'm listening or I'm asking questions. Now, when I'm asking questions, I'm asking questions as though I'm wrong, right? And I'm listening as though I'm wrong. Like I want to be really, really curious about the current situation and how they got here and what processes that they took. And I'm listening because I'm taking it all in, okay? And that's how you're also going to learn. And so then after I do that, right, then I need to apply what I've learned. And so I apply through trying it myself, right? I apply through practice and failing forward. I just apply it in my life, right? I have to peel out something because we only have 24 hours. So if it's a new habit, right? I got to make that change. So, you want to apply what you've learned, and then you're going to reflect, okay? So when you apply what you've learned, then you go back to those reflection questions. What went well? What went wrong? What do I need to do differently? All right. So the learning model is that it's bringing new information, right? And then you may need to unlearn something to relearn, right? So I'm relearning, I'm unlearning and relearning. It's a constant cycle. Learning is. So you bring in new information, you relearn a new skill or habit or thought or process, then you apply it, and then you realize, I got to make some changes, right? So I'm unlearning things while I'm implementing. And then I'm going to fail forward, right, to that, success. And I fail forward through reflection. So that's that learning process. So you got to learn and apply, learn and apply. And then so that's where change is going to start happening, right? So as you're unlearning an old skill to relearn and re-implement a new skill or habit or strategy, that's the change process. And then once you've actually done it, right, and you've started to get some success around it, then you're going to teach. So that's when you teach somebody, everybody. That's when you teach. Now you could certainly say, hey, I learned something in this book today. Let me tell you about it. Versus, hey, I've learned this new skill from this, thought leader. It's really changed my mindset on things, and I've been getting some better results. May I teach you what I've learned? Can I share with you? And that's what I'm doing now. If you're listening to this, whether you're on our podcast or YouTube page or whatever, I've gained your permission. You're still listening right now to hear, right? Hopefully because I'm adding value to you. Okay, or maybe it's just in the background noise, I don't know. Or it's an accident. Either way, right? I have taken what John has taught me, his leadership principles, his principles on growth. I have applied it in my life. I have gone from someone who was in, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, and I was in a very comfortable government job, making, a pretty good salary, to doubling my income, being completely debt-free, being 40 pounds less than what I was when I started this journey 8 years ago. I work less per year. I have a better relationship with my wife than I've ever had, and I've known her for 30 years. I'm feeling empowered. I'm achieving more. I'm seeing more. I'm doing more. I've traveled to 5 continents. I'm doing things I never ever imagined were possible. I've taught leadership in South Africa, South America, Europe, North America. That's 4. Sorry, 4 continents, not 5. I'm getting there though. It'll be 5 soon. So this is my application. So I've earned the right to teach some of these principles. Okay, and this is where I went wrong. 10 years ago, I would read a book like Teach Like a Champion, and I would try to teach my team how to do it. Well, I never taught that way. I was just watching the video, so it was inauthentic and it wasn't connecting, because you can't give people what you don't have. If you're taking notes, write that down. You can't give people what you don't have. You can't teach someone what you haven't experienced. You ever try to explain something, to someone that you kind of heard today? You're like, I'm not 100% sure about, what's this, and they start to argue with you, and you don't have any credibility in that conversation because you've never done it. So one fatal error that I made as a leader, not just as a principal, right, but also when I started this business, this is our 9th year now, I was trying to teach things and model things that I didn't do, that I didn't master, that I wasn't good at. And as a result, we're getting poor results. We're getting end results, except a crappy result, right? And so think about that in your school or in your business or, wherever you are. Are you trying to teach things and train people in skills that you don't have? If so, you're wasting time and money, and they're seeing right through, and you're losing credibility, believe me. Okay? Experts are experts for reasons. So if you hire an expert, make sure you ask them, where have you taught this before? What results have you received in this skill? There's lots of things that people ask me to teach that I won't do it. I will go find someone because I'm not very good at it. Or I don't have that, skill. I could certainly read off a script and make it entertaining, and it might be okay. It might be a 4 or 5 out of 10, but it's not going to be an 8 or 9 out of 10 that an expert's going to do. So you can't take people where you've never been, okay? You cannot take people where you've never been. So please, please, please remember that, okay? So I want to get back to that daily growth, right? So that daily growth, every day I learn, okay? Every day I learn something new, right? Every day I'm applying something outside of my comfort zone, but I'm staying in my strength zone. Every day I'm reflecting to create change. And every day I'm teaching. Like I will teach what I'm learning. That's the point of these episodes. Those are the trainings that I do. This is why we've got 200 podcast episodes, and we've got 100 and some YouTube videos, and we've got a private school leadership made real simple Facebook community. Like every day I'm sharing what I've learned. I'm teaching what I'm learning. I am trying to accelerate your leadership through my mistakes. Hey, this is what I screwed up on today, everybody, and here's how I would have done it differently. Right? If I can accelerate you, then I've done my job. Okay. So every single day, right? Every day I learn, every day I apply, every day I fail, right? And that's what creates change because I reflect. That's my evaluative experience, right? Experience is not the key. It's evaluative experience that's going to make the difference. And every day I teach. Every day I teach, right? So, it's really, really important, right, to have some sort of daily plan, because here's why. Not only can you not give someone what you've never experienced, okay? You cannot take someone where you've never been. And by the time the opportunity appears, it's too late to prepare. It's too late to prepare. So that daily consistency, it's compounding over time. And when it compounds over time and then the opportunity appears, boom, right? So consider this start of a daily growth plan, not a landing point, but a launching point, right? Like, hey, every single day I'm going to read a chapter, or every day I'm going to listen to a podcast, and every day I'm going to reflect, and every day I'm going to create content, and every day I'm going to share, and every day, I mean, whatever your daily growth plan is, consider it a launching point. Because when the opportunity comes, it's too late to prepare. And here's the thing, most people quit new habits somewhere between 3 hours and 3 weeks from when they start. Does that sound familiar? It's like every diet, right? Because as I said, I've lost the 40 pounds, right? Where I had lost 40, and I've gained about 10 to 15 back. And gosh, I have tried so hard to get back to that weight, right? But the older I get, the more challenging it gets. So what got me here no longer serves me there. That's good. You should write that down. Whatever put you in the position you're in right now no longer serves you in the position that you want to get to. So if you're a teacher and you were promoted to an assistant principal, what that great productivity, that great loyalty and trust and all those things that got you the AP job no longer serve you. They're there, but now you need to achieve more through other people. You need to equip people. You need to coach people. You need to build teams. You need to collaborate with people. It's a whole different next step, right? So, going back to my daily growth plan, I mean, one of the pieces that has accelerated me is when we have our daily leadership calls with our team, right? We also have a weekly reflection on the 21 laws of leadership. So our team is reading the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, the newest version. And so each week, like we reflect, right? Or sometimes I'll have a thought and I'll say, hey, can we take 10 minutes just to talk on this thought, right? And we'll talk it through. We're collaborating to create a different result. Like that's where you need to start doing. Like you need to take that information productivity and you need to start surrounding yourself and creating an environment of growth in your organization. An environment of growth in your organization, right? Or within your team. And so in the law of environment, this is what John, it's in John's 15 laws of invaluable growth. The law of environment says your success is going to be determined by the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if you find yourself at the head of the class, you need to find yourself a new class. I mean, this is why, we've built all these leadership network programs. We have our inner circle, our empowered executive inner circle. It's over 40 charter school principals from across the country who come together each week in small mastermind groups, right? To think into each other, to collaborate, to help everybody, think and up-level their opportunities and, challenges. And then we bring in an expert speaker once a month, and we do training with them. And then I bring in other principals of high performing schools, and we go visit their schools, and we see the amazing accomplishments that are occurring in that school. Now, to that leader, it's just every day. It's mundane, right? They don't know how they got there. Consistency is how they got there. But when we bring our leaders in, right, they're accelerating to a new class. They're expanding their vision. And so that's every program that we do. I try to build this law of environment where, others are ahead of you, where you're feeling continually challenged, right? There's no coasting to success, right? I can't coast to 175 pounds. I gotta fight. It's an uphill battle. I gotta fight, right? I'm losing that battle. But anyway, all right, you've got to, there's extreme focus forward, right? Everybody is looking towards that next destination, right? They're clarifying their vision forward. They understand that yesterday ended last night. Right? I only allow myself to, celebrate or get down for 24 hours. That's it, right? I got to get going. I got to get, what's the next, right? What's the next goal? What's the next accomplishment? The atmosphere is affirming. I mean, imagine if you had other principles on your back. Like if the extension of your leadership team were other CEO principles, right? Other executives helping you, affirming you, challenging you. Man, if you're not a part of our inner circle, I'm not really sure what you're doing. You don't have to be a charter school principal to be in it. You can be anything. It doesn't matter. But to be in this environment where people are rooting you on, where they're thinking about you when the Zoom hangs up, and they're shooting you text messages, and they're checking in on you, and they're trying to help you and equip you. You got to get in our inner circle. Links in the comments. You got to take that next step, right? Get into an environment of growth, right? Others are ahead. Continue to challenge. Focus forward. The atmosphere is affirming. Everybody's out of their comfort zone, right? All success is outside of your comfort zone. In fact, if you haven't had a challenge in a while, you're probably in that coast zone. And Maxwell just said here at the conference down in Orlando, he said, if things are going too well, then break something and let's improve it. If the organization you're in continues says, well, that's how we've always done it, you're not in a growth environment. You're in a stagnant environment. You want to be in an environment of constant growth, where the foot is always on the gas. Well, whether it's you're going 5 miles an hour or 105 miles an hour, you want forward motion. You don't want neutral. Okay, you don't want neutral. All right. The next one is that failure. Right, failure is not your enemy. I've already told you that the daily cycle for growth is failure is part of it. What am I going to apply? What went right? What went wrong? So what went wrong, I got to make a change. I got to reflect on what went wrong, and I can be okay with failure. I'm sorry to say there's 85% of the world, through our DISC, personality profile, what a great leadership tool that is. 85% of the world is in this reserved, process-oriented, where sometimes perfection or having all the answers gets in the way. You got to advance forward to know whether or not you're on the right track. And I run into a lot of leaders. I coach a lot of leaders who like things to be perfect. Well, there's only two things that are perfect in the world. You were created perfectly, and the Hope Diamond. That's it. Everything else is a mask. It's a mask for a fear of something. So you want to be in a group where, folks are rooting on your failure. Great try. Now, I'm not talking about catastrophic failure, but we learn a lot from that too, right? Show me a great leader and I'll show you the crisis that they overcame. I'm looking at the scores across, North Carolina and the academic scores across the country, and there's all this COVID loss and all this stuff. But you know what there also is? COVID gains. There's schools that have accelerated their academics, during this time, not just learning academics, but social skills and character and all these other parts that make it up, right? Failure is not your enemy. In fact, failure and success are locked together. They are one, right? They are parallel. In order to get great success, you have to fail. You got to fail so you can move forward. If you're not failing, that means you're not trying hard enough, or you're not doing something that's, worthwhile. The next, Others are growing, right? So when you get into this growth world, you're going to have to leave some people behind. You still love them. You don't say, you just, I'm going this way. I would love for you to come with me, but you don't have to. It's cool. But I'm going here. I'm growing here. I remember as a kid, right? I liked to play baseball every day, and we used to do all sorts of fun things. And there was a couple kids every day, they did their homework. Had to do their homework. Couldn't come out, had to do their homework. And of course, we always, made fun of them and ripped on them. And you know what? They were right. I got 700 on my SATs. I really struggled through high school. I struggled for a big part of my college. If anyone has received my emails or read my blogs, you know that I struggle with grammar. There's a lot of parts that I wish that I would have spent more time back then, because now I'm catching up, right? I'm trying to catch up. You've got to put yourself in an environment where people are growing around you all the time. Just because you got into a position does not mean that you stop learning. In fact, the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know. And it's what you learn after you think you know it all that really, really matters. There is no end line to education. There is no end line. There is no finish line to your growth. You are at unlimited capacity if you intentionally work to grow every single day. Growth is modeled and expected is another part of the law of environment. Modeled and expected, right? It's just what I just talked about. Everybody is, growing. So get yourself in a mastermind book study maybe, right? Or join something like our inner circle. I mean, whatever you can do to be in an environment where other people are growing and sharing what they've learned and what they failed and how they're improving. Book studies are great. You could lead one at your school with your top, 20%. Article studies, round tables. There's lots of ways, right, to model growth. And the last one is people desire change. People desire change. Now, change is inevitable. It's growth that's optional, right? Change is inevitable and growth is optional. So I just want to check my notes, make sure I talked about all these pieces. And so we've talked about the importance of growth. We've talked about having a daily growth plan. And we've talked about how just being active and working is not going to create significant growth. You'll get a little bit better, but you won't accelerate. Okay. We've talked about how you can't teach what you don't have or what you've never accomplished. So it's important as you're learning something that you work to apply it in your life, and you work through those processes. I gave the example to teach like a champion, right? And so then when I was at middle school principal, and then I had to actually teach and substitute in classes, I was using praise and proximity and wait time and no opt-out type, right? So then I was like, okay, I'm actually doing it. So now I can model it, and now I can show it, right? But it wasn't until I actually had to use those myself did I become a better coach and teacher at helping my team and my teachers improve, okay? And then we also talked about the law of environment, right? And all this lines into my 6 steps to transformation. 6 steps to transformation that I have gone through, and these are the 6 steps that I use for every improvement of my life, right? So number 1 is I change my thinking, okay? So this is where I'm, bringing in new books or new thought leaders or, whatever it may be. I've got to change my mindset to be in more of this growth, mindset, not a fixed mindset. The second step is you have to visualize what it is that you want. Okay, visualize yourself in that actual, like achieving that goal, right? Or, being 175 pounds. So I look at my scale and I say, I see the 175. I'm 18 pounds away from that right now, but I see it. I see the 175, okay? 3 is to find yourself a coach or a mentor. So I've got mentors in my faith, in my with my financial life, from my relationship life, right? I've got all these, mentors, and I have a coach as well. So you need a coach or a mentor, someone who can help you, close that gap. 4 is to set your goals. Okay, what is the goal that you actually want to achieve? So once you have clarity in your vision, then you could take parts of that vision out and write your goals. The next is to establish a plan, right, or a strategy. What is your strategy, right? Hope is not a strategy, right? So I need a daily, strategy in order to achieve that goal. Okay, daily strategy, and then you need to actually follow it, right? Plan your work and work your plan. And then number 6 is to fail forward, right? Is to fail forward, and that's a reflective piece. So those are the 6 steps that I use to pretty much accomplish anything in my life. Change my thinking, visualize the result that I want, find a coach or mentor, set my goals, plan my work and work my plan, and the last one is to fail forward, right? To know that I'm going to be hit with failure and to use my reflection process to get there. So you can't grow without a mountain to climb. Okay, so right now you might be having many challenges in your world. And a few years ago, I'm 46 years old right now, so I think it was right around I was 40 or so. I had I used to run marathons, or I used to complete marathons. I won't say I ran any marathons. I never ran one all the way from start to finish, but I completed 5 of them. And so I remember the doctor asking me about, well, what's my exercise? I said, well, I'm not really training for anything. So she said, so the only time that you exercise is when you're actually training towards something? And I said, yeah. She goes, well, you need to change that. You need to change that thinking. Now, it didn't dawn on me until, a little while ago, and when I got placed on cholesterol medicine, right? I got high cholesterol, and mainly it was, because I stopped running and I started doing things like yoga. But what I realized is that yoga isn't whooshing the heart the way that it needs to, right? So my blood flows and my, cholesterol is better. But I go back to that, what she said to me. She said, so you need to change your thinking. And I didn't use my framework. Now, at this time, I had already dropped that, 40, plus pounds. I had, I was at my lightest weight since I was in high school, earlier than high school, actually. And, right, so I felt, right, because I was at a better size and weight, that I was healthy. But, remember, growth is inside out. And so she said, you got to change your thinking. But my thinking was still, the only way that I will put in the daily time and exercise is if I'm marching towards something, right? Some goal, and it used to be, my marathons. So I've got to change. I've had to make, significant changes. I started to walk 30 minutes a day or ride my bike 30 minutes a day, and that's still not enough. I got to get more, right? So, but that's the, what's the mountain to climb that you're trying to get through? Because remember, all success, right, is uphill. Everything worthwhile is uphill. That's where success is, right? You need how high will you climb up that mountain? And it's hard to go uphill when you got downhill habits, right? So every time that I get close, just, recently I was 7 pounds into the 10 pounds I wanted lost, and then I went away for a week and boom, I put it all back on. So, right, so you can't go uphill with downhill habits. About every single day, right? That consistency over time. So looking back, right, that was a fatal error on my mind, because I had seen a finish line. It's like, oh, I got down to this weight. I don't need to run anymore. I hate it. That last ultra marathon pretty much sucked the life out of me, and I don't want to do it anymore. And no good. So, and so what fatal thoughts have you not paid attention to, right? You can be guided by the feather, or you can be guided by the 2x4. And, for me, a 2x4 could be a heart attack or stroke or whatever it may be with that high cholesterol. So I've got to make changes. I've got to make changes, and that's every year. That recertification, you are growing yourself, right? You are working through those pieces. And there's nothing wrong with going to a conference. I mean, those are good catalysts for change. And that's why I go to the Maxwell leadership training every single year, right? That's my recertification. That is my high level, conference for the year. Sometimes I go twice, sometimes I go once. But it's the everyday, right? Like, I can't just go out on a run once a month and think that everything's going to be fine on the inside. It's not. It's not, right? It's the daily piece, right? So if I don't have the time right now, Tom, to if you got 5 minutes, you got enough time, right? If If you don't think 5 minutes is a long time, hold your breath for 5 minutes and you'll know. It's enough, right? It's enough to read a quick blog. It's enough time to do a daily gratitude journal or reflection journal, right? What went right? What went wrong? What am I going to do differently? You know, 5 minutes. Some of the podcasts are 5 minutes, right? Some of the YouTubes are 5 minutes. Heck, you can go on TikTok and follow the right thought leaders, and you're going to get 2 or 3 messages in that 5 minutes that are going to help you think differently. See, again, because when the opportunity comes, it's too late to prepare. You can't get promoted into a position of authoritative leadership and then go, okay, now I'm gonna learn how to lead. If you do that, you maybe have 30 to 60 days of time because your credibility is going to erode really fast, right? Charisma might get you in the door, but it's character that's going to keep you in the room, okay? Character is going to keep you in the room. All right, so here's what I want us to do, right? So next step, this is what I'm highly recommending you doing. 1, make sure you have a growth plan in place, whatever it may be. Something every day. Start with 5 minutes, grow it to 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it may be. Make sure it has some sort of evaluative experience on the back end. Okay, and then the next piece is who are the voices that you need to listen to? That's something I really didn't talk about, but I've been following Maxwell now for, it'll be 9 years in February. I didn't really read any Maxwell prior to joining the Maxwell leadership team, actually, but, narrow it down to a couple of voices, right? So John is my number 1, and there's lots of people, Jocko Willink, Pat Lencioni, Tim Ferriss, right? There's lots of people that I listen to, but then I filter that information through John's leadership principles, right? And through my core values, okay? So pick a couple people, right? And just make sure whatever it is, that whatever you're bringing into your mind, you have some sort of reflection process built in on the back, okay? What am I going to apply based upon what I just learned? What am I going to change based upon what I just learned? And then what am I going to teach my team, right? What am I going to teach the people around me? Because consistency compounds, A lot of you may know that I'm a recovering gambling addict, And the last day that I placed a bet was February 12th, 2006, right? So at this time, we're heading on almost 17 years, and I don't know, that's like 5,500 days, I don't know, something like that. But it was those first 90 days that made a difference for me. Those first 90, because I had a significant challenge in front of me. Right around day 90, I was actually in Las Vegas, and I actually placed chips down, to bet, right? And a couple things happened. You can listen to my transformational story at the start of this, and at the, in the earlier episodes, and I didn't, right? And I realized it was that change of thinking and vision over those, 87 or 88 days that overcame the 10 years of bad habits and bad decisions that I had made when it came to gambling. So you don't need a ton of time, but you do need 90 days. Give it 90 days, right? So right now, if you're watching this on the day it was published, it's September 5th, 2022. 90 days from now, right? So right around the holidays, right around Christmas, I am telling you, if you do this, even if you do it for the next 30 days in a row, you're going to see significant changes. And in fact, I've got a perfect event for you. Live to Lead. If you have not participated in Live to Lead, if you've liked anything that I said or anything that I've shared here, I've learned it all from John Maxwell, okay? I've learned it all from John Maxwell, and through my own evaluative experience. October 7th, 2022. It's every year. It's always the first Friday in October, but this will be the 8th year that we're hosting Live to Lead. It's a virtual leadership event, and there's a link here. So I'm going to put this link in, and I'm going to put a discount code in for you as well, right? Because you're a listener, right? So go to the link, get your early bird discounted price for this great half-day leadership event. It's John. It's Tim Elmore, who's going to be talking about diversity. It's Eric Thomas. It's Pat Lencioni, who's going to be talking about his new book as well. So there's 5 thought leaders. I mean, what a great, so celebrate yourself the next 30 days. Come to that Live to Lead event, and I'm telling you, it's going to be another acceleration launching point for you. And if you already, maybe come to Live to Lead or you got something and you're looking for another big next step, something with a little bit more commitment, join our Empowered Executive Inner Circle. I mean, every single week, being around like-minded leaders, getting yourself into that growth environment, being able to visit the highest performing schools, to learn from experts on a monthly basis. I mean, it basically lays out the next year of your personal and professional development plan, because I give you access to our Master Communication course, and I give you access to our School Leadership Made Real Simple leadership program. And then I give you access to our High Performers Leadership Academy, which has got, based upon my book, The 10 Indicators of High Performing Schools. It's all the frameworks that we use as a team to improve schools. I mean, it has everything that you would need. And if you join the Inner Circle, I'm going to give you access to Live to Lead too. You're going to have it. Another extra bonus gift. So, remember those 6 steps of transformation. Change your thinking. Visualize the results that you desire to have. Find yourself a coach or a mentor. Right? Set your goals. Create your plan. And fail forward. If you do those things, if you do those 6, I guarantee 1 year from now, right? 1 year from now. I mean, if you grew 1% every week for the next year, even if you took a 2-week backslide, a 2-week vacation, you'd be 50% better than where you were right now. 50% better. Now, how many of you want a 50% better return? I do. I want to be 50% healthier, 50%, better in my relationships, a better leader. I want all of my investments, financially to be 50% better than where they were. I mean, right? 50% better. I guarantee it. So click the links in here or email me at tom@lbleaders.com. And I'm happy to help set up your personal growth plan for you and show you what we have in our product library to help you take that next step. All right, take that next step. But it starts with understanding that change is inevitable, but growth is optional. I'm Dr. Tom. Hope this made a difference. It works if you work it, everybody.